Imagine this for a second, if you can. You are looking at two people sitting across from each other at a really quiet, candlelit dinner table.
Sounds nice.
Right. The wine is poured, the room is warm, and the ambient lighting is doing that thing where, everyone just looks great.
Oh yeah, the perfect date setting.
Exactly. And there is no hostility here, right? There's no obvious argument happening, no broken plates, no raised voices. But as you watch them, something just feels hollow.
I know exactly what you mean.
It is like looking at a beautifully painted masterpiece where all the right colors are there, but absolutely none of them are actually touching. They ask about each other's day, they nod, they even laugh at the right moments, but there is no spark of real contact, only the ghost of it.
That is a really haunting image.
Yeah, and I think when we look at a scene like that, whether it's in our own life or someone else's, we usually think of the relationship as this broken vessel. Like it's a container for love and security, and somehow, somewhere along the line, it just failed to hold the water. It's leaking, and neither of them really knows how to patch the hole.
Right, and that is usually the exact moment the finger pointing begins.
Oh, totally.
When the vessel cracks, our immediate instinct is to blame the other person for not delivering the emotional goods. Or we blame the relationship itself. We label it toxic or incompatible or just a really bad fit.
Because it's easier to say the container is just defective.
Exactly. But what happens if we completely abandon that metaphor?
Okay.
What if relationships aren't containers at all? What if they are mirrors?
Mirrors. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So instead of sitting at that hollow dinner table and asking, how do we fix this relationship? The truly radical shift in perspective is to ask, what is this relationship revealing about myself that I cannot yet see?
Okay, we really need to unpack this, because that is a massive paradigm shift. If it's a mirror, then that hollow feeling isn't a glitch in the relationship, right? It's a reflection of something much deeper going on inside the individuals.
Precisely.
And that is exactly our mission for this deep dive today. If you were listening to this right now and thinking about your own relationship, past or present, we are going to completely rethink the hidden psychological architecture of human connection. We are basically tearing down the old ideas about why we suffer in love, and we're looking at how to find actual, genuine contact with another human being.
It's a big undertaking, but it's so necessary.
It really is. But before we get too deep into the mirror analogy, you mentioned a shift in perspective. Or someone who might not be familiar with the terminology, we're talking about Gestalt psychology here, right?
We are, yes.
Can you just give us a quick layman's grounding of what that actually means so we're all on the same page?
Of course. So at its core, Gestalt psychology is the study of how we perceive wholes rather than just disconnected parts. It looks at how our minds automatically organize the chaos of the world into meaningful patterns. Because there's just too much data out there.
Right, we'd go crazy otherwise.
Exactly. And to really understand how a relationship acts as a mirror, we first have to understand the mechanics of how we actually see the world through that Gestalt lens. There is a foundational concept here called figure and ground.
Figure and ground.
Yes. So imagine you walk out into a really dense forest.
Okay, I'm there.
You do not consciously register every single leaf, every shifting shadow, every beetle on the bark, right? Your mind instantly selects a figure, maybe a deer stepping into a clearing.
Right.
The moment you focus on the deer, everything else instantly recedes and becomes the background. It becomes the ground.
Because you literally can't focus on everything at once without your brain short-circuiting.
Precisely. You have to filter it.
Right.
But the crucial part, and this is where it gets highly personal and very interesting, is that what becomes your figure is never objective.
Wait, really? It's not objective?
No, not at all. It is entirely shaped by your internal state, your personal history, and your current needs.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So if you are a hunter, the deer is the figure. If you are a botanist, a specific, rare fern near the deer's hoof is the figure.
Right, right.
And if you're a hiker who is terrified of bears, a strangely shaped shadow in the bushes is the figure. The forest is exactly the same for all three people, but the reality they perceive is completely different.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting when you apply that to romance. Because when you first fall in love, your partner is the radiant figure, right?
Absolutely.
They are the deer in the forest. Everything they do is charming. The way they chew their food is adorable. The whole rest of the world just blurs out into the background.
You don't even notice anyone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then time passes and something shifts. Suddenly, they are 10 minutes late for dinner. Now, a year ago, that was just, oh, they're so busy and important. I love how dedicated they are to their job.
Right. It was an endearing quirk.
Yeah. But now, that lateness isn't just lateness anymore. It becomes the glaring figure of disrespect, the figure of, you don't care about my time.
It becomes the only thing you can see.
Right. So basically, my question is, when a partner's habit starts driving you crazy like that, are you even reacting to them anymore? Or are you just reacting to a construct your own mind built out of like memory and fear?
That is the perfect question to ask.
Like when my partner forgets to buy milk, I'm not actually mad about the milk, am I? I'm mad because my inner child feels abandoned in the dairy aisle.
You're joking, but you are actually hitting on the exact mechanism.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
You are reacting to a newly drawn map of your shared reality. We don't just have relationships, we project them.
We project them. Man, that is a heavy thought.
It is. The person sitting across from you hasn't fundamentally changed. They just forgot the milk. But your internal state has shifted. A new need has emerged, or an old wound has been nudged. And so your mind redraws that figure ground map. The intense tension you feel isn't necessarily about the milk or them being 10 minutes late.
Right.
It's about the fact that your internal projector is suddenly casting a very old, very scary movie right onto them.
Which brings up a huge question for me. If we are constantly projecting our reality, why do our minds so often construct these painful figures? Like, why does the mind choose to highlight the negative, the things that hurt us? If I have a projector, why am I choosing to play a horror movie instead of a rom-com? Where do these ghosts at the dinner table even come from?
It feels like a betrayal by our own brains, doesn't it?
It really does. It's so frustrating.
But they come from what we call unfinished business, or incomplete gestalts.
Unfinished business.
Yes. Think of these as unresolved childhood needs, or boundaries that were violated years ago, or emotions that were shamed into silence when you were young.
This is stuff we carry from way back.
Exactly. These fragments don't just disappear because you grew up and got a job and moved out. They linger in the ground of your psyche. They are the background noise.
Just waiting there.
Right.
Right.
And they sit there, highly charged, waiting for a trigger in your current environment that matches their shape so they can finally be completed and resolved.
Okay, I want to pause and look at how that actually operates, because we usually talk about attention as if it's a flashlight.
Right, like a conscious beam of light.
Yeah, like I am consciously choosing to shine my flashlight on my partner's flaws. Like, today, I'm going to focus on how annoying you are. But based on what you are saying, attention isn't a flashlight we aim at all.
No, it's not.
It's more like a magnet. It's actually drawn to what is unresolved in us.
That's a profound distinction. Yes, your attention flows automatically through the unresolved emotional charge.
It makes me think of dropping a stone into a completely still pond. Let's say your partner sends you a text message that just says, "We need to talk."
Oh, the dreaded 4 words.
That's right. Terrifying. But objectively, that is just the stone. It's just 4 words. But the water itself, your psyche, that is what holds the pattern of the ripples.
That is a beautiful way to put it.
So the stone is the trigger. But the turbulence, the sheer panic that follows, comes from the hidden contours of your own inner landscape. The water was already primed to ripple exactly like that.
Yes. Based on every time in the past that we need to talk meant you were in trouble or being abandoned.
Wow. Yeah.
I really love that pond analogy because it perfectly illustrates the outsized reaction. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it explains why people cycle through the exact same relationship dramas with entirely different partners over the course of decades.
Oh, sure. We all know someone like that.
Right. The cast changes, the cities change, but the script remains completely identical.
Can you give us an example of how that plays out?
Sure. Let's look at a concrete, everyday example. Imagine a man who grew up with a very emotionally distant, cold father. Unconsciously, because of that unfinished business, this man seeks out partners who are incredibly warm, available, and loving. He thinks that's what he wants.
Makes sense on paper.
But the very moment genuine intimacy occurs, the moment she really leans in and asks, "How are you really feeling today?" he suddenly feels smothered.
Ah.
He starts interpreting her genuine kindness as manipulation and her affection as a trap.
Because her asking about his day is the stone hitting the pond.
Yes, the intimacy triggers his buried, unfinished business, the deep, terrifying expectation of abandonment or pain that he learned from his father. So he doesn't actually see his loving partner in that moment.
He sees the ghost.
He sees the ghost of his father wearing his partner's face. He is reacting to the ghost. The partner's just standing there offering a cup of tea. But he is fighting a war from 20 years ago.
That is so wild. And chilling, honestly. Which leads me to wonder, if we are constantly interacting with the ghosts of our past, do we ever actually make contact with the real person sitting across from us?
It's a tough question.
I mean, are we ever really seeing them, or are we just dating different versions of ourselves?
That question cuts to the core of why so many relationships feel hollow, like that dinner table we started with. To understand why it's so hard to see the real person, we have to look at the principle of structural correspondence.
Structural correspondence.
Yes, sometimes called isomorphism. It sounds complex, but it simply means that how you organize your inner world is perfectly mirrored in how you organize your external relationships.
So, if my inner world is a chaotic mess of suppressed anger and denied vulnerability,
Then your relationship will be a chaotic mess of suppressed anger and denied vulnerability.
that is wow. Okay.
If your internal landscape is fragmented, your relational landscape will be fragmented. You'll pull away, then you'll cling, you'll demand space, and then feel utterly abandoned when your partner actually gives it to you.
You just can't win.
Because you're constantly oscillating. You are interacting with your own fragmented reflections, not a separate human being.
Wait, so if I'm projecting all this, does that mean I'm basically just using my partner as a blank movie screen for my own inner drama? Am I just hiring them to play a role so I can work out my own stuff?
Unfortunately, yes.
Uh-huh.
And we do it completely unconsciously.
That is deeply unfair to them. I mean, we are literally demanding that they soothe our anxieties or validate our worth just to complete our own unresolved stories.
We really are.
We're essentially handing them a script and saying, please read these lines perfectly so I don't have to feel my own pain, and if you go off script, I'm gonna punish you.
It is a profoundly heavy burden to place on someone you claim to love. There's an old philosophical idea that asks us to examine this exact dynamic. It categorizes human interactions into two realms.
Okay.
The first is where the other person is essentially an object to you. They are a tool to be used, analyzed, or fitted into your narrative. That is, treating your partner as a screen or a thermostat to regulate your own nervous system.
Like when I come home in a terrible mood and get mad that my partner isn't magically fixing it or getting in a bad mood with me.
Exactly. You are treating them as an extension of yourself. But true meeting between human beings, true contact, only happens in the second realm.
And what does that look like?
This is where both people stand fully present, without an agenda, acknowledging the other as a completely separate, sovereign human being. True respect means allowing the other person to remain a figure in their own right.
Without sucking them into the background of your own neurotic projections.
All right, it is looking at them and accepting, you are not here to save me from myself.
Okay, I love the theory here, but I have to push back on the practicality of it.
Please do.
Because this all sounds incredibly profound, but I have to admit some skepticism about the actual mechanics of healing this. We are constantly told, you need to do the work, analyze your past, understand your trauma.
Yes, that's the standard advice.
But doesn't overanalyzing just trap us in our heads?
Right.
Like, if I'm standing in the kitchen and I'm screaming at my partner for leaving a wet towel on the bed, I can sit there and intellectualize about my distant father or my unresolved childhood all day long. But how does that awareness actually fix the moment? I'm basically just rearranging the furniture on the Titanic of my mind.
You're pointing out the most common trap in modern therapy culture. And it's why this approach emphasizes that true insight is absolutely not intellectual.
It's not.
No, it's not a thought like, oh, I get it, I'm yelling about the towel because I have abandonment issues. That kind of analysis, as you said, is just rearranging the furniture. It doesn't stop the ship from sinking.
So what does stop it?
Real insight is a somatic reorganization.
Somatic meaning in the physical body.
Yes. It is a sudden physical click. It feels like a heavy key turning an arrested lock that you didn't even know existed inside your chest. It is not an intellectual deduction. It is an embodied, visceral recognition of the truth.
Okay, walk me through what that actually looks like in slow motion.
Sure.
Let's take the guy from your earlier example, the one who feels smothered by his warm, loving partner. He's feeling trapped because she asked about his day. How does he get the somatic click instead of just starting a fight?
Okay, so the trigger happens. She leans in, the panic rises. Normally, he would pull away, pick a fight, or conversely retreat into his head and start overanalyzing his past.
Right.
But this time, he actually pauses. He drops the storyline. And he allows himself to just feel the physical sensation of being smothered in his body.
Just feeling it, not thinking about it.
Exactly. His chest is tight, his throat is closed. He leans into the physical discomfort. And in that quiet, intensely uncomfortable space, he suddenly feels a bodily wave of childhood grief.
Oh, wow.
It hits him physically, maybe bringing tears to his eyes. He remembers the feeling of being a child whose emotions were dismissed. He remembers that love back then was highly conditional.
Closeness meant having to erase his own needs to keep his parent happy.
Yes, and the insight hits him right in the gut. I've been confusing intimacy with erasure.
Wow. I've been confusing intimacy with erasure. That isn't a theory for him anymore. That isn't something he read in a self-help book. It's a physical truth he just felt in his bones.
Exactly. And the resolution happens by simply holding that bodily awareness. He takes a breath and says to himself, "This grief is mine to carry. This reaction belongs to my past."
It is not my partner's job to fix it, and she is not the one causing it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
When you finally complete that background pattern by acknowledging it fully, the emotional charge naturally dissipates. The trigger, his partner wanting to cuddle or asking about his day, ceases to be a life or death threat.
Just becomes neutral information.
Exactly. The mirror is shattered, and suddenly he can actually see her sitting there.
So if I'm not using my partner to fix my past, and the relationship isn't a container for my unresolved needs, what is the point of the relationship?
That is the ultimate question.
Like when the charge dissipates and you stop demanding that the other person play a role in your movie, what does the relationship actually become?
This brings us to a concept of the field, or holism.
Mm.
A relationship is not simply person A plus person B. It is a dynamic third entity that they co-create together.
The field. Okay.
You never relate to just a person. You relate to the shared field with them in it. But here is the critical rule of the field. To heal it, you cannot work on the other person.
Of course not.
You can only clean your side of the street. You have to take full responsibility for your own projector, your own figures, and your own ground.
You know, this brings up what I think is the most unsettling but also the most liberating realization of this whole discussion.
What's that?
When we try to force our partners to fix the field, when we demand that they soothe us or act perfectly, we're using them to escape a very fundamental, terrifying human reality. The relationship was never actually the problem. The problem was our refusal to feel our own fundamental aloneness.
That's the heart of it. That is exactly it.
Right. Like, we are entirely subjective beings. No one can feel your joy from the inside. No one can feel your pain from the inside. It's just you in there.
It's just you.
And we use romantic love as this desperate attempt to escape the human condition. We think, if I have you, I won't have to be alone in my own head anymore.
And that's why we get so mad over the little things.
Yes. It's why we get so mad when our partner didn't like the same movie we did. It's not about the movie. It's the panic of realizing, oh no, we are separate and I'm alone in my experience.
It is the ultimate escape attempt. We try to outsource our wholeness to another person. But aloneness isn't a wound that needs to be healed by a partner.
No?
It is a space that needs to be inhabited by you. And here is the great paradox of all this. The more you release your desperate need for the relationship to work, or to complete you, or to shield you from your own aloneness, the more capable of breathtaking depth it actually becomes.
Wait, say more about that. By needing it less, it actually gets deeper. That sounds totally counterintuitive.
It does, but think about the mechanics of it. When you stop using the relationship as a lifeline that you need just to survive your own unhealed wounds, it transforms.
Yeah.
It is no longer a hospital. It becomes a vast landscape that you walk through to express yourself. You are no longer clinging to the other person to save you. You are simply witnessing them and allowing them to witness you.
It is no longer about mutual compensation, like, I'll fix your daddy issues if you fix my mommy issues.
Exactly. It is about mutual exploration. You grant them the ultimate freedom to just be themselves, entirely flawed and beautifully human, because you no longer require them to be your savior.
That is just, it shifts the entire gravity of how we view love. It goes from a transaction to an actual encounter.
It really does.
So let's recap this journey we've been on. We started at that hollow dinner table, viewing the tension, the unspoken distance, as a massive flaw in the relationship, a crack in the vessel.
Right.
But we've completely flipped the projector around. That tension isn't a flaw, it's an invitation. It is a mirror asking you, what is this revealing about the structure of our shared reality? What unfinished business is drawing my attention like a magnet right now?
Exactly.
And the ultimate, most freeing realization is that wholeness was never something your partner could give you. It was never outside of you to begin with. It is the ground beneath your feet, waiting for you to stop running, clean your side of the street, and just stand there.
And if we carry that realization forward into our actual lives, it leaves us with a question that changes the very definition of romance.
I love that. What's the question?
If the goal of love isn't to perfectly understand someone, or to completely merge with another person to escape our own subjectivity, what if the highest form of intimacy is actually learning to fall in love with the unbridgeable distance between you?
Wow.
What if the profound mystery of that space, the fact that you will never fully know them and they will never fully know you, is exactly what keeps the relationship alive forever?